Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian owned, nothing control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live or listening to replay. I always appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. This is the vault, episode 256. Definitely doing quite a few episodes. Have done quite a few episodes throughout the years. Appreciate all the long-term listeners. Appreciate anybody that's it's your first, or you're just joining us after a few times. So always appreciate that. Once again, trust Christian, know not to control everything. This is the Vault 256. Why no personal guarantee loan? And we definitely been wanting to do this episode for a while. Quite a few people ask the questions all the time about personal guarantees on loans, specifically trustees. They say, how can we get around this? And this is where trustee training, this is where consultations provide a lot of leverage, a lot of education for our trustees. I mean, it's interesting to see the misnomer in the public where people say that they're not able to not give personal guarantees for loans, and if they were to go to do it, how can they go about doing it? So we definitely want to make sure that we're sharing the forthright truth with our trustees. So when people come into our trustee training program, they traditionally get access to our resources that we built over years. So we do have a capital raising expert. He has created a bank. And we're talking about public bank in foreign jurisdiction. So we're able to learn a lot of the tricks and trade. A lot of people don't understand. Was talking to a senior trustee earlier today, and we were talking to them about, it's all about your environment, ladies and gentlemen. And it really is. It's all about, where, you, what environment are you getting into, and that's so important. So we're definitely gonna hop into this topic. Feel free to type any of your questions into the chat. We got Texas tuning in live. Appreciate Texas tuning in live. We're gonna call them a red state tonight, hopefully, and we're gonna move forward with that. But we definitely appreciate Texas for tuning in live, listening to the replay. But this is episode, once again, like we say, episodes traditionally in the public now are going to be for trustees, because there's so many trustees that have come and gone, and we know that they still tune in and they've gotten a lot of knowledge, but they may not be inside the vault anymore, but they are alum, and we know that they definitely are listening to the lesson still. So we're definitely going to do our best to give best comprehensive conversation about this and move forward from there. So appreciate Cali for tuning in live, listening to replay. We already know what color they usually are going for, and it's okay. We'll go forward from there. Appreciate Oklahoma for tuning in live, listening to replay. We know they're going to come out swinging red too. So, we usually know a lot of those states and how they're going to come out today. But we appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. So when people usually come into the vault, they get access to fund managers, asset managers, financial planners that are on the private side. So for everybody that's on the public side that says, oh, I got my trust started, and oh, I'm in the public, and how do I go private? The way that you go private, ladies and gentlemen, it sounds as simple as this. You own nothing, control everything. Own nothing, control everything. So we're going to go ahead and talk about own nothing, control everything. And this is something we talked about in the past few episodes, which is let your business be separate from your personal wealth. Let your business be separate from your personal wealth. How do you take your name off the business? Trusteeship, trustee training. How do you no personal guarantee on a loan? You build up the business credit. So when you enroll in the trustee training system, we connect people with asset managers, with fund managers that know these things, and that's their area of expertise. The expertise is to come into an environment where you can get a book with one of our asset managers. It's so crazy because for all of you all that have our asset managers, Dane's book, just give you a tip on how powerful the $99 book is. It's so crazy because even with this $99 book, it was one of those things, like, it's not a thick book. A lot of people that are listening live, if you have that book, feel free to let people know into the chat that it's not a big book. But inside that book alone, it tells you how to avoid personal bankruptcy by doing a reverse credit collection agency. I mean, to know that you can do that is so powerful, ladies and gentlemen, to avoid bankruptcy. But we know a lot of people, that's the first thing that they seek when it comes to cleaning up their personal credit is, hey, we got to get rid of a personal loan. We got to get rid of these loans and things of that nature. And we got to do that through bankruptcy, which is just so unnecessary. So we really wanted to do this episode to let you all know that you say, well, how do I not personally guarantee it? It's through the corporations, ladies and gentlemen. Some people say, well, do you build credit on a trust? We don't do that. They're private entities, ladies and gentlemen. How can you build credit on a private entity? Now, we know people that sit in the public and they'll talk about that. But why would you put credit, which is public, on a private entity when you can just go out, make sure that the entity has a public entity that is interfacing with LLC or C Corp, and go out and do business with it? How long is it going to take to build up that credit profile on that business entity? Because this is what people ask all the time. How long is it going to take? 3 to 6 months, ladies and gentlemen. If they say that 95% of the businesses don't make it past the first 3 to 5 years or the first year, ladies and gentlemen, if you make it past the first 3 to 6 months, you're fine. Ladies and gentlemen, you separate your business wealth from your family wealth because there's operating agreements in place. There's documentation in place that states that your life, your family is a business. Your life, your family is a business. So there is no need for a personal guarantee. Don't you buy toilet paper? Don't you buy paper products? You can get those from Quill.com. You can get things from Granger.com. This is how you build the credit profile. Someone came the other day and said, well, Trust Christian, I can't get a business loan. Okay, but does the company have a credit card? Did you go out and get a company credit card? So did you know that there's secured loans? That you can get a secured loan for the company is based off how much money is going into the bank account every single month, or how much you put onto the secure credit card. Not only that, when you enroll in trustee training and you find out the book that we're talking about, you can contact companies that they don't have to be the bank that you're with. They're online servicing processors that will report against the company's credit, because that's what they do. They allow people that have bad credit to repair their credit, but they don't discriminate against businesses. So businesses can go get a secure credit card, and when they get a secure credit card, they can go out and make those purchases, and it's reported against the company. But how many people want to do that? See, we get a lot of people that come over from the American Express environment. Oh, Trust Christian, I got an American Express. How am I supposed to handle this situation? I got to give up my American Express for the company? Now, for the most part, ladies and gentlemen, business credit is bigger than personal credit. So what are you crying about? Well, I've been building this up my whole life. I get access to the lounges at the airport and all this. Look, ladies and gentlemen, did you know that you can, when you work for companies, the company can pay for your expenses? Yes. So even if you charge the card, your own personal card, on the front end, the company is supposed to repay you for expenses. Now, that's not a guarantee. It's not legal advice, not financial advice. That's something you have to check in your operating agreement for the company. Is your operating agreement, is your corporate bylaws stated properly that it can repay for your personal credit cards if you happen to do business that way? People say, oh, Trust Christian, I got to put a huge down payment down when I open up a cell phone in the company name. But think about when Verizon or AT&T or these companies report against Experian Business, and next thing you know, in 3 to 6 months, when you go look at your Duns and Bradstreet score, you're over 85. You're in a position now where banks don't mind lending you. But why are so many people incorrect by not just going to get a secure credit card Then go and get a credit card. If you have a credit card right now and you haven't asked for a credit increase in the past 3 months, people say, oh no, it's COVID times. It's COVID times. We can't ask for credit increases. Ladies and gentlemen, over the next 2 months, businesses will get the most amount of money they've gotten all year. Bankers, see, most people don't know how the banking industry works. Bankers get paid on lending. They've been sitting on money through COVID, correct? Right. They're looking to give people money in these businesses so they can pay their employees and they can go out and spend money at the consumer level through the regular shopping. So how is it where people can say, see, these are myths. These are myths. Oh, they're not lending right now. Once again, they haven't lended all year. The government created a stimulus. The banks are sitting on cash. Banks and bank managers, lenders, they don't get bonuses unless they give out loans, ladies and gentlemen. Banks can't make money off fees. They have to make it off loans, interest, not just off of overdraft fees. So here we go. They're going to give out money to businesses over the next 60 days. It's less than 60 days now. They're going to give out money over the next 60 days to businesses that can go out and put together a credit profile in the next 3 weeks, in the next 4 to 5 weeks. Why? Because if you had a business open, you had cash flow going through it, you can go get a secure credit card. Now, this is interesting where people come back and say, well, this bank doesn't do secure credit cards. It's a business. It's not personal. Why wouldn't you just take the business to another bank and go get a secure credit card? No one said the business can't have multiple bank accounts. Like, these are things that we go over in consultations and in consultations with people and in trustee training. They say, well, can my business have multiple bank accounts? Can you have multiple bank accounts? Yes. Your business can have multiple bank accounts so it can strategically build credit. Who said that the business can't have multiple bank accounts? Where's that law written at? It's not. Somebody typed into the chat, but if you open a business bank account, they ask for a social security number. See, these are the questions that we ask in trustee training. It was a great question that you asked right now because these are questions that people get consultations for. So anybody else can feel free to type questions into the chat. This is a great question. Why? Because just because you open up the bank with the social security number, remember, it's about your operating agreement. It's about your corporate bylaws. Are you the manager or are you the owner? That's the first thing. The second thing is, who are they giving a loan to? Appreciate Texas for tuning in live. Once again, got a bunch of people tuning in live from Texas. Think about who they giving a loan to. Are they giving a loan to you personally in the social security, or are they giving it to the business, the EIN? Who's liable for the debt? So you say, well, how do I get out of not personally guaranteeing it? Once again, secure credit cards. That's an alternative. Secure credit cards for the company, ladies and gentlemen. That's not personal, it's business. The company has a secure credit card, not you. No personal guarantees. Why? Because secure credit cards based off of you putting up money onto the card and you building a credit profile. That's the whole purpose of these cards, is to build the credit profile. Banks know this. But because people went to public school, they don't have this education. See, they don't teach this in public school, do they? They teach that in what? Alternative private education, such as the vault. So, once again, you can do secure credit cards. Well, once you finish with secure credit cards through that stage, we can go to credit cards. The company is still going to apply. The company's applying, not you. The company's applying. So, a lot of people will say, well, Trust Christian, they need a co-signer. They need someone to fall back on. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, when the company has cash flow, see, we're in the business of entrepreneurship and investors on the vault. That's what we do over here. This ain't no employee environment. This is an employee station. This is, you have to create profit. You have to create revenue. What bank is not willing to lend you at least 2.5 to 3 times what you are pulling through in revenue at the company every single month? If it's $500, why would you not go in the bank and ask for a $1,500 credit card? If it's $3,000, why aren't you asking for a $3,000 the 6,000. If it's $3,000 in revenue, why would you not ask the bank for 6,000 or 4,000, 4,000, $5,000 on a credit card? They see that you have cash flow. You know there's certain limits, that percentages you shouldn't be using on the credit card every month. So are you maxing out the credit card every month? That wasn't the purpose of the credit card. It's actually called a drawdown account. It's called an overdraft account. In case something happens to you not pulling in cash flow, you can use the credit card to cover those expenses. Why have you never told the banker you don't have any collateral to post? Well, that means I'm not going to be lendable. That's the whole purpose of you saying that. You don't want to be lendable. You want to show that you're not lendable. Why not just say, if y'all can't do it with the company, I can't do it. I'm not personally guaranteeing it because I don't have anything for you to take. And you're not going to put me in jail for a debt. Hold on. So that's how the big boys do it? See, the big boys, they have confidence. Yes, they're not going to personally guarantee a loan because what's the point? If something goes wrong with the company, who they gonna come after? Anybody that guaranteed it. You're not supposed to do that. That's a doofus question. We tell you that in trustee training. It's like a handbook that the bankers have, that they're going to ask you a doofus question. Well, Mr. Sir Doofendorse, do you have anything to post collateral against this loan right here? No. Okay, great. Next question. But if you don't answer it confidently, if you answer, well, yeah, I'm going to post my house. First of all, you don't own your house. So you're going to let them put a lien on the place where you live? You're going to let them put a lien on the company vehicles? What about, see, when you come into trustee training, you learn about corporate guarantees. Do your research on what corporate guarantees are. Did you know that you could have one of your friends' corporations give a corporate guarantee as a co-signer? Did you know your best friend could give you a corporate guarantee with their company? But how many of you all are going to have your best friend that has a business give a corporate guarantee as a co-signer instead of you PGing it? Well, why would my friend do that? Well, if something happens to you, nothing's going to happen. There's a corporate guarantee in place. They're not coming after you now. People bankrupt companies all the time, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe I don't want to hear this type of thought process, but businesses go under. From what? Mismanagement. But let's stay focused on managing it properly. If you're managing it properly, separating your business wealth from your family wealth, why not go get a corporate guarantee? Why not post life insurance policies as collateral? See, the corporation can own a life insurance policy, right? Right. On who? You, the key man, right? See, that's your private guarantee. That's your private guarantee. See, there's a cash value when you come into the vault, and you learn from the private side on the trustee perspective that it's a guarantee with the insurance. Why? Aren't you paying that policy every single month? Not you, but isn't the company paying insurance policy on the manager every single month? The CEO of the month every single month, right? Did you know that insurance is an asset? Yeah, that's called a corporate guarantee. Well, Judge Christian, we don't know how to talk to the bankers about that. That might be true. Say that part. Say that you don't know how to do it, but don't say it's not possible to get a loan without a personal guarantee, because it is. And you're not limited because you don't have a personal guarantee attached to it. How many of you all got personal guarantees, but you didn't go back and remove your name off the loan yet? Did you know months down the road you can remove your name off the loan after the debt obligations have continuously been fulfilled? Even if you had to start out that way with the credit card and you started out that way, did you know you can remove your name? How many people have done that though? How many people have personally guaranteed loans in a company name? The company's been open past 3 to 6 months and they still, or as long as they've had that credit line for 3 to 6 months, and they haven't gone back and removed their name as a personal guarantee because they're scared. Because they don't know how to just go say, well, guess what? Let's look at the credit history. It looks like the company can repay. It looks like their credit history profile is pretty clean. Let's replace that. But how many people have done that? So, Somebody said, is it better to file both a UCC and a non-UCC? Well, we're in business here. So most people don't know how to use a UCC. UCC is the state assets. Uh, and people, they're going there with those type of questions today about the UCC, and we're talking about credit. Because if so many people that were so good with the UCC and the credit building stuff, well, how come they're not rich? Then they go to the non-UCC. How come they're not rich? See, we're talking about people that actually have means and money. We're not talking about people that want to say, well, I'm entitled to something because I have a birth certificate. No, it doesn't. What did you create for the world other than a debt? What did you create for the world by being born? Nothing. You don't want to hear it that way, and we have no problem with telling you that. But when you create a business, it's called an employer identification number. That means that you're going out to employ people or grow the economy. So how do you get personal guarantees without giving out? How do you get a loan without personal guarantees? Once again, is your business set up with a business address? We had a consultation the other day. This lady literally says, should I separate my home address from my business address? Probably. It's business. It's not personal. So you separate the business from the personal address. Well, how are you going to get a loan for a company and you're in a we share or shared workspace? First of all, when you go into the bank, they're going to Google where the address is at. They're going to see that you're really not paying a lot of money in lease space. These are things that they're looking at, ladies and gentlemen. So you're in a WeWork. You're in a shared workspace. So of course they're going to say, okay, this person's really running a business out of their home. How many employees do you have? Well, we have this much amount of employees, but are all of those employees housed in the WeWork address? No. That's why trustee training provides you an education to learn the educational resource that's necessary so you can go out and make sure that you're not making those common mistakes. But oh, you best believe trustees, they don't get loans in their name. Why? Because they're private now. They don't own any assets. You say, well, how are they operating? Ladies and gentlemen, the vault's been around for over 4+ years, 5+ years. No trustee gets loans in their personal name. For over 5+ years, ladies and gentlemen, and they've been doing it in the private since 1913. They don't get loans in their personal name. They get it in the company name, and they don't personally guarantee it. Why would they personally guarantee a loan? That means it will mess up their personal credit. The whole purpose is to separate their business wealth from their family wealth. You have to be patient in business with building a credit profile. What's wrong with that? How are people in a rush to build the credit profile? People say, all right, well, Trust Christian, we got to open up these accounts. It takes some time to get it built. Ladies and gentlemen, don't you have a cell phone? Yes, transfer the owner immediately. You're already paying a cell phone bill. The cell phone bill can report. Most of y'all got big carriers. It's a business telephone number now. Get it to show up in Verizon Business. You have to get these numbers posted in a business environment. Same thing with the address. You have to get it posted in the business environment, the business Rolodex, so it can be looked at as a business, not an alter ego, not as a disregarded entity. How many of you all are sitting around right now with a sole proprietorship? How do you expect to get a business loan when the business is considered to be an alter ego? That's why you do personal guarantees, because you're running with a sole proprietorship. Why don't you get the business elected on a 10/11/20? Why isn't the business filing its own separate tax return? Because your accountants and your lawyers are public. That's why. Appreciate Mississippi for tuning in live, listening to replay. Somebody say, how can you join the training in the chat? You can contact Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. Feel free to email out for that. Once again, is your business properly classified? Trust Christian, I can't pull off that move because I didn't get my business personally. I didn't get my business classified as a true bona fide corporation. That's the facts. It's a sole proprietorship. So how are you not gonna not personally guarantee it? You have to get the business entity to where it can stand on its own. And you can't just Google it. You can't just Google it. Everything's not Googleable. There's a public and there's a private, correct? Is Google sharing with you all the list of banned books in the United States? First of all, you think you live in a free country, wherever you live in the world. But why is it that they got banned book list? You didn't know that they have banned book list in the world? That you can't purchase certain books in the world if you public? But privately, they have auctions for these books at private estate sales of rich people? You didn't know that? There are banned books in the United States. There are banned books in the world. So once again, did you separate the business wealth from your family wealth? The address, the telephone number. How you gonna have a cell phone in your personal name, but you got a business? You say you got a business, but you didn't even go to the whoever it is, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, whoever. Why didn't you go to them and say, we at least need to add an owner to the account? We need to change your ownership for the account. What's so hard about doing that? It's laziness. It's people scared to take a risk. Being an entrepreneur is vogue. Just like they say generational wealth. People say they want to generate generational wealth. How you going to generate generational wealth and you not in the proper entities? How can you pass along generational wealth in the public? It's not passed along publicly. It's passed along privately. It's business, not personal. You don't have your assets and your whole wealth displayed for the world publicly. It don't work that way. Not generational wealth. Do y'all really think that the Rockefellers aren't richer than Jeff Bezos? Are you serious? The people that are on the Forbes 400, 100, they want to be listed. That's for marketing purposes. The people that are passing along generational wealth, they've been got their names removed from that list. They're private now. Of course, Jeff Bezos is not more powerful than the Rothschilds. Are you serious? They're private. He's public. He has a public company. It's called Amazon. So why no personal guarantees? Because it's business. It's not personal. You got to separate the business wealth. To separate it through the phone number. You got to separate it through the actual bank account. You got to separate it through the address. You got to separate it through the email. You think you can operate with a Gmail? It's Christian at Trust Christian. You have to have a domain name space for the company. It's so simple. Go to GoDaddy. Set up a legitimate website. Just go own the name of the company. Then the bank says, wow, okay, they got some assets we could take if we need to. Do you all really think that Jeff Bezos is personally guaranteeing loans for Amazon? No, he is not. And he never has. And he never will. That's not good proper business etiquette. That's not good for the shareholders. Shareholders going to look at him and say, look, we need this company to be standalone. We don't know what you're doing in your private life and your personal life, but we need you to separate the business from the personal. What about your cars, ladies and gentlemen? A lot of you all are driving cars, but you're claiming gas on the company's tax records. You're claiming gas on the company's tax records, right? Okay. You're claiming gas on the company tax records, but you didn't go put the car in the company name. Did you try to do that yet? Did you go and say, hey, look, I want to bequeath an asset to the company. Let the company take on that debt. Do you really think Jeff Bezos buys his own personal cars? No, Amazon's doing that. It's a company vehicle. Well, Trust Christian, I don't have enough cash flow going through yet. I know, that's your problem. get it solved. You're an entrepreneur. You're an investor. Your job is to create income, not say all we got is expenses. For all you all that are working jobs, did you know that there's a difference between income and assets? So the money that you put into the company, is that an income or an asset? It's an asset to the books, but it's actually a debt to the books. So for someone that just asked about the UCC, did you give your company a loan that they're going to pay back? Well, the bank looks at that and says, well, why would we ask you for a personally guarantee and the company already owes you money? You didn't know that though, right? So the company owes you money. Why would you be personally guarantee a loan for the company? But did you file it on the UCC? No. See, the people that talk about the UCCs, they talking about it for a whole nother reason. And it ain't about building wealth. It's about being broke. It's about trying to get something for nothing. But hold on. The company, if you give it a loan, just got something for nothing. Why would the bank be asking you for something when the company already has a promissory note, which is a form of collateral, which is a financial instrument? It's a debt. And guess what? America likes that. Banks like that. They like seeing that the company owes somebody some money. That's why corporate guarantees are good. Why? Why wouldn't your best friend give a corporate guarantee? Why wouldn't your best friend say, look, I'm going to create a company, you create a company. We're both going to make sure that our companies owe each other companies money. The bank likes to see that. Oh, wow, you owe another company money? Maybe you're lendable. That can happen within the first 30 days of the company being open. That's a fact. So, once again, the company can create debts. That's why you go to the Quills and the Grangers. You go to Newegg.com. All of y'all buying computer parts. Y'all can buy all of those products through what? Through those websites. Well, Trust Christian, you know the company, it can't go get a Best Buy credit card right away. It can't go get a Staples card right away. You got to build up the credit profile. You're right. Well, what about the Duns and Bradstreet Credit Profile Builder program? A lot of people know about that. A lot of people don't know how to use that. Okay. Did you go to Duns and Bradstreet and get them to help you build your credit profile? Because they'll do it. But you got to have things in place before you go to them. You got to have the proper business address. They're going to verify all of these details. So you're going to wonder, well, how come they're not contacting me, helping me build my credit profile? Because your company's not listed as a legitimate company. You got to make sure that you have the email correct, the telephone correct, the address correct, having an email with a domain name for the company. You have to build a credit profile for the entity. Are you going to build a credit profile for the entity, ladies and gentlemen? Are you going to take the next 3 to 6 months and build that credit profile? We cannot sit around and sit here and say, well, what if the company's not making more than $300 and $500 a month? Or, well, first of all, who lives off $300 to $500 a month? Nobody. So you might have to start making more money than that. That's true. The company has to create revenue. That is your job as an entrepreneur investor, to grow revenue. When it does that, banks can see debt service can be covered by cash flow. We'll repeat it again because sometimes people listen a little slow. Debt service, because that's what they're doing. They're giving you debt service for what? Cash flow. Now, some people may say, well, what about the $500 or the $1,000? Will they still loan and give out a loan against that? We've already shared. They should traditionally, why you think they ask you to report so much on your income when you're applying for credit cards? It's the same thing for businesses, ladies and gentlemen. They want to see that the business can repay back the debt within a short period of time. You all have to shop around at different banks. If you have a credit card currently with your business, you should go to the bank right now and say, look, we need a credit increase, so we're pulling our money out of the bank. You're generating hypothecated money for the bank. If your money is not in the bank, if the business money is not in the bank, they can't lend. Did you actually know that? The bank cannot lend if there's no money in the bank. So are you going to put money in the bank cash flow wise through your earnings, whether it's employee or entrepreneur? Are you going to put earnings in the bank and not go ask them, hey, we need a loan, or we're pulling our money out of the bank? It's not about how long you've been with the bank, ladies and gentlemen. It's about, can cash flow cover debt service? That's a very important point. It doesn't matter how long you've been with the bank. A lot of people say, well, I've been with the bank for such a long time and they haven't given me a loan yet. It doesn't matter how long you've been with the bank. If you don't have a credit profile history, they don't care. So unless you're able to pay back a loan, there's no credit profile history available for them to look at. You can actually get them to look at the bank statements. All right, here we go. Y'all ready for this one? This is a slick one that the bank hits people with. If you're not going to personally guarantee, we need to see tax returns, preferably 2 years. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we deal with lenders on a daily basis because we're in the private sector. Bottom line, lenders don't, it's a question for doofus. It's a question for them. It's a question that they have to ask because it's a regulation on the bank. Well, can you personally guarantee it? Well, can we see 2 years tax returns? Okay, doofus banker, we haven't been in business for 2 years. How the hell are we going to give you 2 years worth of tax returns? That makes no sense. Okay, so we were talking to a entrepreneur the other day, and we were letting him know, well, why don't you just file the taxes early for the company? Like, you've been in business for over a year. They've been in business for a year, but they haven't filed the taxes yet. They're going to take care of that this year. So why don't you just go file taxes right now? Like, did you all know that you can file taxes right now in your business at any moment? There is no, we have to pay at a set time. Even though they do have, they have penalties if you don't pay by another set time. But you can always file taxes, ladies and gentlemen, for a business. It's not personal. It's not employee situation. The rules are different in business. You can file for taxes early. So you can create 2 tax returns within a matter of 6 months. 3 months, 6 months. Bam, 2 tax returns. Did they ask for 2 tax returns or 2 years? Well, they asked for 2 years. Not every banker actually says that. Please listen to their words. We need to see 2 tax returns. Okay, so we file in the first 3 months and the first 6 months. That means we're actually doing due diligence over here. We're staying on top of the returns. See, when they see the returns, they can see what your net profit is. Once they see the net income of the business based off of tax returns, they're willing to lend. But no one walks into the bank and it says, it's a big sign on the wall that says, if a business does not have 2 years worth of tax returns, they're not lendable. That's not accurate. That's a myth once again. How can you have 2 years worth of tax returns and you haven't been in business for 2 years? You haven't been in business for a full year. But you can file taxes quarterly. Quarterly is every 3 months. Hold on. You can file taxes quarterly every 3 months? Yes, you can. Well, that might cost a little bit of money, Trust Christian. What are you looking to do? Make money or spend it? Because it's not about spending, it's an investment. See, an investment, you're expecting a return. When you spend something, you're not. They ask you for tax returns. They don't always ask you for 2 years. Make it a point to go in and interview these bankers, ladies and gentlemen. It's business, not personal. Bottom line. People say, oh, I didn't know you could file taxes early. Well, now you know. But are you going to do it? How important is it for you all to get loans? Some people say, well, Trust Christian, there's a thing called redlining in the African American community, in the African American community, they don't really loan money to those businesses over there. Okay, so why don't you go get an address in a better zip code? Why don't you Google the zip codes in your area and find out who has the highest median income? Because loans are going to those areas. Unfortunately, but fortunately. What's wrong with setting up your business in another area? As far as the mailing address, it may not have its home base there, but its mailing address for mailing purposes for the bank. See, the bank didn't say where it had to be at. The bank just said, we want to see it in a good zip code. You can have multiple addresses for your business. You can have a mailing address. Usually that's a registered agent. What's wrong with going to get a registered agent in a better area? But the business operating address might be all over. Might have another address. See, this is what you have to do in trusteeship. This is what you have to do in entrepreneurship. You have to think outside the box. Once again, you have to think outside the box. It's business, not personal. So we continue to move on with no personal guarantee thought process. That means you're not looking to put your Social Security down for a loan. What else do we need to talk about outside of corporate guarantees, out of creating debts on the company? There's other means. Insurance has an insurance policy as an asset of the company. They want assets. What do you have personally? Debts. The company owes you a debt. You want to personally guarantee the debt that I got on the company? Fine. This is the type of thought process that we make sure the trustees are trained into, that are very aware of, and they know how to move in business. They will do everything to not have their Social Security number or the Social Security number on top of documentation. Bottom line, they're going to take the due diligence process, take the time to actually build credit on the company. They're going to take the time to have, even if you have the company can go out and buy assets, ladies and gentlemen. Did you know that? You can go buy debt with the company. These are things that stack the credit profile in your favor. So when someone's talking UCC, we can say that, guess what? The company has debts already listed in the collateral section, not your birth certificate, which means nothing. But hey, there's a lot of poor people thought process over the internet. People trying to get something for nothing. Hold on. Trust Christian, did you just say that the company can buy a debt? Is debt something for nothing? There's actually credit collection agencies, ladies and gentlemen, that sell debt to corporations. Have you ever heard of corporate debt before? That's an actual investment industry. Who buys corporate debt? Do you? What is corporate debt? Do your research. Because last time we checked, corporations buy debt to balance out their books. Corporations buy debt as a collateral on their books. To do what? Build their credit profile. Why? Remember, if the company can hold debt, they want to service it. Right? Cash flow, unencumbered cash flow, debt service. How does that company already own debt? How does that company already have debt? How does that company already have debt if it's not making any money? If it doesn't even have a credit profile? See, these are tips and tricks of the trade that you learn when you're in trustee training. We appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Feel free to email Christian@trustchristian.com. We see there's a lot of interaction into the chat. Appreciate Memphis, Tennessee for tuning in live, listening to replay. Appreciate them for sure. Anybody else, feel free to type into the chat where you're listening live or listening to replay from. Well, I know personal guarantee because, see, this is a discipline, ladies and gentlemen, in business ownership and investorship. You separate your business from your personal. You have to separate it. So when you separate it, you let them know at the bank, we can't do that. But then why do you walk away with your tail between your legs? Why don't you just ask the banker, well, what is it going to take for us to get this deal done? You want us to say that again? What is it going to take for us to get this deal done? Well, we need to see the tax returns. We need to see this. We need to see that. Once again, did you go acquire debt for the entity? Debt certificates? You think debt doesn't add to the credit profile? What are you looking to acquire when you acquire credit? Debt. So how does the company already have debt if it doesn't have a credit profile? They're going to look at that and say, okay, we need to look at this and we need to find out if they're lendable or not, because they already have debt on their books. They already owe someone money, or they own debt. That means someone owes them money. These are the things you learn in trustee training. You learn we do different type of surety bonds. Ladies and gentlemen, there are different financial instruments. When you enroll in trustee training, when you go through consultations, you learn that there are different type of securities, and we have securities agents in the training that you go through, that you can learn from. But how many people are investing in their private education right now? There are quite a few. We get them coming through trustee training. We have consultations every day. Every day we have consultations. We have trustee training still through this year. It's still on Sundays. We've had trustee training for years on Sundays. And people are, the biggest tweak, ladies and gentlemen, that is for a trustee or a manager or CEO of a company, is learning that you don't want to own it. You just want to control it. And when you don't own it, there's no need for a personal guarantee. But when you own something, guess what the bank's going to ask you? Can you personally guarantee it? Do you see how owning something is always going to make you liable for a debt? If you own the company, they're going to ask you to personally guarantee it. But why would they ask a CEO, which is Chief Executive Officer, or any other officer of the company to guarantee a loan on the company? You want to know why they're asking you that? Because the entity's not standing by itself. Because the entity is owned by someone instead of the entity being owned by itself. Yeah, you can separate the company from yourself. With Trust Christian, you know, I use my EIN to get the company EIN. I use my Social Security to get the company EIN. Okay, you did that. And did you know that you can get the entity elected, so it's not considered a disregarded entity? But when you were filing for the EIN on the company on the IRS website, they tell you if you don't file certain documents, guess what? It's a disregarded entity, not separate from its owner. It's not separate from you. Something so simple. They actually tell you what form to submit to them to get the entity classified as its own person, because it is a person. They tell you that as soon as you go in to get the EIN. They tell you that. But how many people have good reading and comprehension skills? This is the world we live in today. Or how many people got the lawyer or the accountant to do it and they did it halfway? Why would the lawyer or accountant, if they were a good accountant and lawyer, make the company be owned by you as a sole proprietor when the entity says LLC, C Corp? That means limited liability means that it shouldn't be on my shoulders. I need you to limit that liability. So if the company needs to go under, it goes under by itself. But how many people get it classified that way? They don't. And here's the next best alternative for doofuses out here. They go do what? They go get a S Corp. Hold on. The S Corp kind of looks like a partnership. Why? Because they call it a pass-through. They say that the people that own it, the money comes straight through to those people. So it's a shell looking like type entity. How did that help you, ladies and gentlemen? Why do you think they're asking you for personal guarantees on the S Corp? Because you own it. Simple. So why no personal guarantee loans? Because you got to stop owning it. You can get a consultation from Trust Christian in the Vault, Christian@trustchristian.com, or you can go back to the lawyer that set you up with the LLC or the C Corp or the S Corp. Because most of the people that contact the Vault nowadays, they actually have S Corps. They literally have an S Corp, and the S Corp has put them in a position where, guess what? They have to pay for the loan now. As they have to personally guarantee the loan. Why? Because the bank thinks they're the owner. Who owns the S Corp? Well, the money comes straight to us, to different partners. you're the owners. You're called the beneficial owner because you benefit. You're the owner. This is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. It's business, not personal. You have to separate your business from your personal so you don't have to guarantee the loan. And we set environments where people let you know no elite is guaranteeing loans ever because it's business, not personal. What about the escrow trust, Christian? Did my attorney do it wrong? Did my accountant do it wrong? Ladies and gentlemen, you're the beneficial owner. They're going to ask you for a personal guarantee. When you get it classified as a separate, distinct legal entity, it stands on its own feet. Take your chances then. Why you think you ain't got a loan yet? Why you think you didn't get a loan against debts, against cash flow yet? Why haven't you had debt service to cash flow yet? Have you had money go through the business bank account? Yeah. But why didn't you get a loan yet? Why can't you walk in and get a loan? Because you're classified as a sole proprietor. You still own the entity. That's why. That's why you got personally guarantee a loan. And the way that you avoid that is by getting rid of that position. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. We get this question a lot. It's always a blessing to have people. Feel free to listen into the vault, tune into the vault live, or listen to replay. But we wanted to share some jewels. Feel free to enroll in the trustee training, Christian@trustchristian.com, or you can get a consultation. We'll be free to share some of the content there. But we talk about private information, ladies and gentlemen. So when it comes to us talking about it from the business perspective and you knowing some of the resources that we have, those are based off people enrolling in trustee training because it is an investment in your education. Bottom line, you have to invest in your education. Everything's not on Google. We want to promise you that. Appreciate the Bronx for tuning in live, listening to replay. In cold New York, appreciate you for tuning in live. But if there's no other questions, we'll stay on for a few more seconds for any questions in the chat about why no personal guarantee loan. It's really simple, ladies and gentlemen. It's really simple. And we just want to make sure that you all know that you do not have to do that. There's a lot of ways around it. Please feel confident enough to go into your bank. Let them know if they're not going to be willing to give you debt service to cash flow, then you can pull your money. A lot of you all are running decent businesses, $50,000 business, $100,000 business, and that's whether that's net or gross, it's still good cash flow. Good cash flow going through a bank. Small businesses make up most of the United States, but how many of them got business loans from the bank? And the bank makes money off of loans. Well, most people aren't getting those loans because they don't have it structured properly. That's why you come to the vault, so you can be structured properly. You have to get the proper structure so you can move forward with the proper strategy. Structure comes before strategy, ladies and gentlemen. Structure comes before strategy. You learn it in trustee training. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Feel free to reach out, Christian@trustchristian.com. We'll hear from you all then. We'll post some more episodes this week.